You're very welcome back to the programme. Now, Ireland's largest gathering of community, voluntary and charity organisations is taking place at Croke Park today. It comes at a time when charities are getting less money to fund the work that they do for the less well off, and as charities are being warned by accountants to get their books in order. Now, in a moment, we're going to be hearing from Ivan Cooper from the organisation which represents charitable organisations. But first, Cian McCormack reports on how charities are cutting the cloth to suit their measure during tough economic times.
Lovely. Thank you.
Here you are.
Thank you. It can be very lonely when you're living on your own, and you know it really is a great boost, and it really lifts the spirit to know that someone special is come to visit you. We'll go mad today and have a bicky.
Life is better than it was before for Reg Lacey.
Your Spanish is better each week.
He was homeless, but now the 72-year-old is in a lone housing in Dublin. But what's more important to him are the visits he gets from alone volunteers a few times each week.
They've taken away all that loneliness that a person could have in their life, and you don't have time to be alone anymore because they're always on the other end of the phone or they're always at the door, you know, and they really bring you joy and happiness to know that alone care so much about you.
Services like these are being provided by charities who've seen donations shrink over the past few years.
What we generally find is that the income would be slightly erratic. You might have a good month, then a poor month, and the amount people give will be less. We're always grateful for anything that anybody donates. We work on the basis of we're off doing the work we do, and we'll look at, and if people like what we do, then they can support us, and we would be grateful for that. But I suppose we're determined to do the work regardless.
The financial pinch isn't just being felt by alone. It's affecting community, voluntary and charity organisations all over the country.
The demand on their services is increasing at the very time when their money is decreasing. So it's a very, very challenging time for charities and community and voluntary organisations in Ireland right now.
Later today, the National Conference for Ireland's non-profit sector will look at how these types of challenges can be faced. But as it does, the Association of Chartered and Certified Accountants is warning that some charities need to get their books in order.
The main concern is that the Charity Act is due to be commenced. When it is commenced, a large number of quite large charities and some smaller charities as well will come within scope of audit, something that a lot of them have not had before. And when they do, they will find that, certainly our experience is that when auditors are appointed for the first time, they generally find that things aren't as you would expect them to be. And the auditors will quite likely be issuing qualified audit reports for some of these entities. Qualified audit report means that donors will become upset. They'll see that controls aren't in place, and that could lead to a reduction in donations to individual charities.
Sure, you're my private nurse.
So with less money about and challenges on the horizon for organisations helping the less fortunate, charities like Alone will be focusing on doing the best that they can with the resources that they have for people like Reg Lacey.
And that was Cian McCormack reporting. Well, I am joined now by Ivan Cooper. Ivan, thank you very much for coming into us today. Obviously, it's tough times for charities. People have less money to give it to them. But, I mean, this Charities Act, if we can maybe focus in on that, what is that going to mean? They're going to be audited. Is that...
Well, what it's ultimately going to mean is that for the first time, all Ireland's 8,000, would you believe it, Keelan, charities will be named on an actual register of charities that members of the public will be able to go to check the details of those charities, find out what work they're doing, what they're engaged in, how they're spending their money and things like that. And all of those charities will be required to submit an annual activity report, and the vast majority of them will be required to also submit audited accounts. So basically what it'll mean is that there'll be a far higher amount of transparency into the work that these important organisations are doing in Ireland today.
OK, and I mean, we heard the auditor there saying that almost inevitably when you audit people for the first time, things are not as they should be. And maybe this is due to a lack of experience, or maybe it will uncover practices that are not the best. I mean, are charities in general concerned or worried about this upcoming legislation?
I wouldn't suggest that charities are worried about it, no. Charities, generally speaking, try their best to be transparent and involve people in relation to the work that they're doing. I think that organisations like our own in the Wheel have been calling for charity regulation for many, many years now, and the Act was enacted in 2009, so
it hasn't been implemented.
It hasn't been implemented because of budgetary pressures and things, but we're very happy that the government have recommitted recently. In the last few months there's been a consultation that the Department of Justice have held in relation to implementing the Charities Act, and we would be calling for early implementation as soon as possible, and we're hopeful that there might be implementation in 2014.
Hopeful, no firm dates yet.
Well, the government have sent strong signals that it is their intent to look at how they can implement the Act in the new economic context.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you would think it's vital. If you're collecting money from the public, the least that the public can expect is that somebody somewhere is keeping an eye on how it's spent. And we have had problems in the past around fundraising for certain charities in Ireland. At the moment, how confident do you think the public should be when they hand money over, €2 here, €2 there, whatever?
Yeah, we're confident that the vast majority of charities adhere to good practice, okay, in relation to fundraising activity. There are hundreds of millions of euro raised every year. It's absolutely vital that the public continue to donate, and it's vital that charities do all they can to maintain confidence in fundraising by members of the public. So just by way of example, the sector have taken ownership of this issue and have developed a statement of guiding principles for fundraising practice, which all charities are now required to implement, and all charities that fundraise for members of the public ought to be adhering to those codes.
So they have a code of practice,
they have a code.
What we need to do is
put that code on statutory footing so members of the public can be assured that all charities that fundraise are applying the code.
OK, Ivan, thank you very much indeed for coming in today.
Thank you.